This episode is brought to you by the Shop 1 in 5 Pledge and Small Business Shopping Directory. It's a commitment to make 1 in 5 of your purchases from a small business online or offline. So head to shop1in5.com to take the pledge. And friend, while you are there, check out and shop from hundreds of small businesses in the Small Business Shopping Directory. It's the go-to directory to discover, support, and shop small businesses all in one place. Head to shop1in5.com.
Welcome to the Product Boss Podcast, where we help product-based businesses grow their sales and improve their strategies.
Hey everyone, I want to introduce you to my co-host and biz bestie, Mina Kunlo-Sitep, an Amazon guru that has built a multi-six-figure product-based business.
And introducing the other half of the Product Boss, Jacqueline Snyder. She has helped launch and grow over 500 fashion apparel and accessory brands, even one of her own.
And together, we share our inventory of secret weapons that will help you dig deep and do the work it takes.
Are you ready? Let's build together.
Hey everybody, Jacqueline and Mina here, your co-hosts of the Product Boss Podcast. Today, we will be sharing a conversation we had with a fellow female founder. You see, we believe women helping women is what the world needs more of. Introducing our female founder episodes, where we interview fellow female entrepreneurs and highlight their small business.
Our goal is to shine a spotlight on product businesses to encourage our community to support each other, learn from each other, buy from each other, and lift each other up. So let's jump in.
Hey Debbie, welcome to the Female Founders episode. I'd love for you to introduce yourself, what you sell, and your business.
Hey there, thanks for having me. So my business is at stitchstories.com. I sell embroidery kits, and they're 8 inches. You get a hoop, you get a tin, you get the fabric, you get the floss, you get the how-to. That's what I sell, embroidery kits. We've got about 20 designs right now. That's what we're focused on.
Amazing. So how long have you been in business?
Since last July. Last July is when the shop opened. So a little more
just
than
over
a
a year. Yeah.
How's
it going? I actually have never asked you this before, but did you do anything with product entrepreneurship before that? Or is this your first product biz?
It's my first product business. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Born out of a cruise that you didn't get to go on, right?
That's right. But my mom had a wholesale craft business. It was huge. She went all over the East Coast selling her goods. So I saw her do it and I thought I would never do it. So
tell me about funny. Mom. What did your mom sell?
She had a gift store, and then one of her reps came in and saw she had wooden apples, and she started slicing them up and wood burning the seeds on them and infusing them in cinnamon oil. And somebody wanted to rep that, and they put them on garlands. And then it started back in the mid 80s. And so she actually worked with suppliers in China, and she had wire shapes created, heart, star, whatever. And then she had putka pods and rose hips. And my dad was a dairy farmer, so they had lots of space and buildings. So she would get huge pallets of these botanicals, and she would infuse them with oils. And then she became a supplier to many people who supplied stores. Yeah.
So you were raised by entrepreneurs / product bosses.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
a mom.
Yeah.
This is actually the first time we've ever, usually it's the grandpa. We've been hearing people that is the entrepreneur, but this is your mom had a really big business. So that's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
Did you realize that
this was before, you know what? This was before the internet too.
Yeah.
For her.
Yeah. We could go like 20 years ago. We were before the internet. So you and I are pretty much before the internet.
Yeah. So she started in the 80s.
Makes it that much harder, you know?
Yeah. And she went till she was 75 years old just a few years ago.
Wow.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool. So that's awesome. So what did you do then before you started your product business?
In the mid 2000s, I was writing and designing for scrapbooking magazines. And then that evolved into, I started teaching, in online, remember forums or bulletin boards?
Yeah.
Started because the magazines started to go out of business. So I started teaching there. So I taught online. I taught online scrapbooking. It was really, I brought a lot of people into my website. And then that evolved into my business, Teach What You Do, where I teach people how to create online courses, a lot of creatives and health coaches. And that business was going so well in 2020 because, right, everybody, wanted to get online and learn, that I was like, oh, I have all this money. I have all this time. Let's try
You
this
have all this
business.
time. Oh, because there
was, 2020 was easy for me to make money at Teach What You Do.
Yeah, because it's a course. I see you, right?
Yeah, the course was in place. The funnel was in place. Mm-hmm. It was a machine that rolled along. But of course, we all know machines break, right?
Mm-hmm. Especially in 2020.
They did. So I had time and money to start this, and I just thought it would be interesting.
But your origin for this, though, was that you were supposed to go on a cruise with your kids, and then the pandemic.
Right. So I bought a whole bunch of things. I was like, let's craft, let's fly kites, let's play board games. And my younger son and I really liked the embroidery, but we hated it. It was all just flowers. We couldn't find the kind of kits that we wanted. And I had in mind something from what I had embroidered, like as a young girl. I wanted a sampler kind of thing. And since I had the scrapbooking, I did a lot of digital scrapbooking. I had worked in a square format. So I really understood flow and color and balance and design. And that's much of what I had taught at Get It Scrapped. So it was just working now in about a same size circular format. And I'm pretty good with Photoshop and digital tools. So I just started putting them together and I liked them.
And then Stitch Stories began.
Yeah.
Amazing. I think, and we've talked a lot to Debbie. So some of you have heard her story and some of you are new to this, but the cool thing about you, well, one, I think it's knowing your kind of origin story, like your parents, how it's all kind of collided. And then also all the other things that you've done in your life that have also benefited this product that was born out of 2020. Right. It was invented, it was created, and it was a great year for you because people were looking to stay home and like do crafty things. I know a lot of knitters, crafters got a craft last year, all of that kind of grew. But you also have this background in understanding digital marketing, and you run your own ads, and you have been growing your email list, and you've been kind of doing all that stuff, which I think is your superpower, or your unfair advantage, right? Because you knew, like, you launched your business and you have, over 20,000 people on your email list. Like you have a big business in that way in terms of an asset. So it's very cool to see sort of what you started on your own and sort of where you're growing into now post-pandemic.
It only took like 15, 16 years to get here.
You're a 15-year overnight success.
Yeah. But I just turned 60 and I'm excited about this business because I'm looking for I don't want to retire, but I'm looking for a business it's just less stress to run than my other business, and that's creative. And,
so she says about a product business.
I know. That's why I was like, you're the first person that I heard was like, oh, this is, easy in 2020. What? You're, like you had all this time and money in 2020. But the thing that separates you from everybody else is that I was in the scrapbooking industry too. So I understood, how it went from paper to digital and the connection of the marketing for people, really having a bunch of elements, journaling about it, putting it together and all that stuff. But for me, it didn't click to the other side. Like for you, when you saw an embroidery kit and you're like, oh, I can just source this material and I just work in a square. When you were describing that, even though I am a scrapbooker and I came up in the scrapbooking industry, it wasn't like, oh, this is just a square just like that. I don't know if that really made the connection for me. I think you have really made, like, it is you really understand like the sourcing of it, the process of it, the teaching somebody how to do it. That's the other thing. And then the giving it to them, and then that they actually do it and that it actually comes out how they want it to come out. So, I mean, do not sell yourself short on this one. This is like nothing short of spectacular as far as like what you've done in a year.
But I do think it was all those years before. Like that's what my family keeps saying. They're like, oh, this is where you were supposed to end up, right? But you don't know until you do. I think nobody knows where they're going to end up. And I think it's great to try. And that's why I like to try new things. Like maybe it would have failed, but you learn new things along the way. You meet new people, you get new ideas.
Yeah. So I mean, even you saying 60. So when you were 59, let's say, like you came up with this new product business. So it's also this realm of we all have different seasons of stuff. I mean, when I had Cuffs Couture, that was in my 20s. And like with one kid, I had two kids. And I was like, there's only so many things I can do. And Cuffs also sort of went out because of our phones. Our phones got bigger. So the product was kind of became irrelevant, right? Because people are like, well, where do I put my phone? I was like, I don't know. Now we have these mini computers we have to store somewhere, that turned in actually what I have is like a really good example of where it went, right? I'm showing a bandolier, which is a phone case cover that holds your credit card and key that you can wear on your body. So this was like a level up from what I had started with, which is fine. So I think it's interesting. We've been telling a lot of stories today from female founders, but even, how everyone has found their way to where they are right now. And this is where you are right now, but then also where you're going to grow into. Like, look at what you've done in a year. I wonder, what this next year is going to bring.
Yeah.
So
exciting. And that's what the mastermind is great for, because my husband had always, from the beginning, he's been saying, well, you're going to need to go get space. You're going to go need to lease space if you're really going to make money that makes it worth it. And I've been like, no, I'm just going to do it in the basement. But then being in the mastermind, as I see people work through what the numbers are for space and what the potential is and the trade-offs, it pushes me to think bigger and to think, yeah, I probably do need to find space next year. So
I love it. Also, I love that, you kind of came to this with your youngest son, you said, because, I think our seasons do kind of change with our children. Like right now, I've never been more into the alto saxophone. I'll tell you that, So you know what I mean? Like, it's like you saw that he didn't love, the flowers and you didn't love the flowers, but how can you solve that problem? For you, it clicked into how could I make these kits? And then how can I sell these kits? And so it probably took your youngest son growing up, being interested in certain things and then being like, oh, okay, I have a customer.
That's right. He still is waiting for the dragon which he imagines to have lots of flames. That'll be really fun to stitch.
Is this the son that helps you with the emails as well?
Yeah. So, and that's the other thing that happened in the summer of 2020. He didn't have an internship. A couple of my husband's students didn't have internships. So we were like, let's just do a little thing where they can learn about business, but then also he could do because for me, I was terrified of the shipping. Since I'd always done digital products, I just couldn't imagine how shipping was going to work. So he just researched that, took it over. He set up the Shopify site, the basics.
How old is your son?
He's 21.
I love him so much. Look at how helpful he is.
Go-getter.
You know what I love? He taught himself to crochet when he was like, I don't know. I remember we were out at my mom's and he was teaching himself to crochet those little amigurumis or whatever. And my brother would always come in and be like, Nancy, get on out here and let's build this chicken coop. Put down the crochet.
But I think it's so cool. Go ahead.
But then he would pick on my brother because my brother was always doing dishes and cleaning house.
Right.
Yeah. Right. It's just everybody has their own path, because it's so funny because now he's the one that's helping you in a crochet. It's crocheting, right?
No.
It's embroidery now. Like he taught it, but he could teach himself anything: crochet, Rubik's cube, yo-yo.
But that's the thing, right? He's a self-starter. Like he'll learn and he can implement, which is such a cool. I mean, when we want to hire team members, those are the people we want, right? So your son might have jobs. Like everyone's like, how do we hire him?
Although he's still got to get through. Yeah, he's got to get through college, and so he's a physics major. So right now he's out. He can't help me.
Oh, good grief. This kid sounds amazing.
We had to raise an awesome
He is really
kid.
Amazing, but he's got his journey still.
Yeah. But that's incredible. And that's like, just an example of, I think, raising children in an entrepreneurial household. It's something your husband, teaches on. And then it's the idea of like, just pick up and learn as we go, which I think as entrepreneurs and especially product-based businesses, we're all kind of figuring it out. When we're sourcing, we're figuring it out. When we're, trying to come up with like, how am I going to sell online, or how am I going to figure out the social media thing? Like we're always constantly, Mina and I are always saying like, we're on the rocket ship. It's already headed to space and we're currently building it. So just everyone hang on for your dear life. And so it's, but that's entrepreneurship. And growth. And like you have been doing that. So you said that that's one of the benefits of the mastermind, but you joined the mastermind earlier in the year, this year. So why did you decide to take the leap and invest in a mastermind?
I really wanted help. I do want to, if I'm going to do this, I'm serious about it. Right. That's why whenever I'm like, oh, should I order 5,000 hoops or should I just, and my husband's like, well, you really going to do it or not? So I always believe we can go faster if we have the right mentors and the right training. I think it's really essential. Even though I think I know everything, I really don't know everything. So I really liked how I liked how you two are with each other. I really like the connection. Like, I love how you're just always rolling with it in a really positive way. And I think you're really smart too. So
Thanks.
Thank you.
She didn't
I'm
say
glad
this
you
morning.
said that because I'm glad you said that because when you're like, I don't know everything, I'm thinking, I hope she doesn't think that we know everything.
No, I don't. It's just,
Yeah. I mean, our kid, when we tell our kids and our husbands, yes, we know everything.
My kids always would make fun. They'll be like, I'm so good at that. Like, I used to say that a lot about a board game or this or that. So that's how they make fun of me, is this, oh, mom's so good at everything.
You're very good at learning new things and implementing.
Yeah.
I think that's something that a lot of people get stuck, right? They have this fear of learning a new technology or learning a new business or something like that. And I think Nina and I have been successful because we've kind of always sort of just been like, what do we have to learn? Let's try it out. Knowing that, like, we could fail on the other end, which is entrepreneurship, or we could learn something, or we could succeed. And I think you're just such proof of that, of just kind of rolling with it. Yeah, rolling with it and changing it. And I think that's that entrepreneurial spirit that you were raised by a mother that built this incredible business. I know.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, was she looking in the phone book? I still don't know how she did it. When you just...
She just, you know what? She loved fabric and she wanted to open a gift shop. And my dad was like, and she left, she worked for the state. Everybody thought she was crazy. She was, I think, maybe 40. She was leaving her benefits, but she wanted to open a little gift shop. And then it just became this, like, there was one day where she looked at these wooden apples and said, I want them sliced up and I'm going to wood burn, and then it just kept growing. And
yeah, I mean, amazing.
Is she the company that did do all those wooden apples that people would have all over their houses?
She started it, like, back in the 80s. She started doing that,
where people would have them, like, on their desk and they'd be sliced open. And I'm wondering.
No, she would just sell more the actual just slices, and then they would get strung on a garland, maybe with the gingham ties. And then she started doing gingerbread shapes. But a lot of her core thing was that they were infused with oils.
Right. So cool. Not to go back to your mom's business, but again, like, we're fascinated by, especially the women that came before that did it when it wasn't as, like, normal or typical. Question for you, Product Boss. How much time, effort, and money do you spend promoting your business each year? Do you feel like it's paying off? Are you getting tons of visibility, or do you feel like you're struggling to get more eyes on your products? This is exactly why we created the Small Business Shopping Directory. The Small Business Shopping Directory is an all-in-one place for customers to shop, discover, and support small product businesses every day. It's a place for you to be visible to new customers and get discovered. The Small Business Shopping Directory is the #1 small product-based business directory that gets your business in front of thousands of customers who want to support and buy from small businesses just like yours. It's the perfect way to get your products in front of eager buyers this season without having to spend thousands on ads. Our goal is to get you more visibility and to get more eyes on your business. And here's the best part. We're doing this together. The directory is a way for small businesses like yours to join forces and create a big impact because customers can finally find you online and offline. They can support you with their purchasing power. It will take all of us to create this movement of supporting small, and we can do it together. So, are you in? We invite you to join the Small Business Shopping Directory. This is your personal invitation to get listed today. You can get up and running in just minutes. So don't wait. You can join now and get your listing by heading to shop1in5.com and click on the link to get listed. So what are you feeling like you're getting out of the mastermind right now? Like, because you were growing so fast, and I mean, you're blowing things out of the water. She like, Jacqueline, stop talking. We're heading into Q4. Do not jinx it.
That's fine.
But I mean, just your growth, like, you've really, when you signed up, you're still kind of a newer baby business, but we saw that momentum, and like, your momentum is just going and going. what are you doing differently? Or like, how is this growing so fast for you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm very focused just on my online store, my Shopify store. And right now I'm mostly focused on selling through email, building my email list and selling through email, do some social, and I can see how that does help at the margins. So that's something. And then the new thing that I'm trying to lean into is the PR, which we're working on that. I haven't quite gotten there because, right, we're scared to do things that we don't know how to do, or we just got to perfect it and we don't have that done yet. But I mean, I'm just trying to work this one thing. I'm trying to build. I mean, I just know there's many things to be improved. Like I'm leaning into this email, but there's so many things you can do to make the email better. And right. Just plugging away at it. And I think I'm just going to try to spend October and November showing up online and writing good emails and making good offers.
Are you feeling like you're getting what you had expected, right? Because you said that you joined the mastermind because you knew nothing about product entrepreneurship, right? Shipping seemed like a mystery and all that. Do you feel like now it's starting to like feel more clear? Or you feel like you're going in the right direction?
Yeah. I mean, I feel a bit like a voyeur because I've only been in there since June, and I don't put myself up for a lot of critique or exposure because I feel like, I just want to take care of my little thing that I got. That's the hamster wheel I'm on. But I love just hearing what everybody's doing. I mean, I still feel like I'm sorting out how things work. Okay, what does it look like to have a real store along with an online store? And what does it look to sell like if you're selling on Amazon or Etsy? And what does it look like? What do different production processes look like? So I feel like I'm soaking so much of that in. And then you guys are always talking about things that I just didn't know. Oh, of course. Well, that's the rate of whatever. Or there's just so many things that you talk about as you coach everybody. So right now I feel like it's just sort of broadening my world, and I'm trying to get through Christmas, and then I've got to do other stuff.
I love that you're thinking about a place. You know, when we first were doing the small groups, and now we have a bigger group, we have the cohorts and we have the bigger group too, but we would see how people would influence each other. It was like a sphere of influence thing. So every time somebody would hire a digital agency, the other people would hire a digital agency. Every time somebody got a warehouse space, everybody would get a warehouse space. I mean, we saw it every time, huh, Jacqueline?
Oh, and so, people buying buildings, everyone's going to buy a building.
Oh, that was another one. Everybody in that group bought a building. Even in this one, it's so funny because like we're seeing cars happen right now. Like people are buying cars. And
they're moving to spaces. Like there's a lot of like how you brought up warehouse. A lot of people are now getting their production out of their houses and getting warehouses.
Which is so exciting because for you, as you're starting your business, you're kind of shortcutting it. That's the whole point, right? It's like, oh, okay, you're shortcutting it and thinking bigger, like you're immediately going to bigger, you know? So I love that because I really think that you are, I think of you as such an adventurous person, and that you can figure it out however you go about it. So it's really nice having you in there and then being a part of that sort of culture of that, you know, like let's take this into it in the adventure of what's going to happen, you know?
Yeah. So I do love it. And I feel like I should be asking more, and I should be putting myself up for more critique and growth, and I haven't quite gotten there yet. But
listen, but like you said, you're kind of a sponge. You're like you said, you're watching right now and you're a sponge. But I think the cool thing is that, like you said, like you're exposed to this backside of other businesses, bigger businesses that are not as big as yours. And so you're kind of able to see, but the cool thing about a mastermind is it's all the different backgrounds that come in, because you, Debbie, are the person that we're like, hey, you want to learn about like ads or, you know, how to build out these systems. Like you're so good at the computer side, the digital side. What do people call it? What do the kids call it these days? But you're good at the digital side, which a lot of times I feel like that's also a block. So having you in the mastermind is just because the mastermind is very much for go-givers, right? Like we want people who are very giving of information and sharing. Like a mastermind is not appropriate for takers in the way of like, for sure, like if you have a question, come ask it, but not like, I want you to walk me through every single step. And then I'm going to ask more questions about how to get me through those steps, right? Because it's very collaborative, strategic. So I think, it's a year program. And the idea is that it ebbs and flows with the way that everyone's businesses are. Some people are going through a busier time or an overwhelming time or like a critical time in their business, and the mastermind's there for them. Other people are like, okay, I'm good right now. I'm like you're doing, I'm leaning into what's working for me. I've got my blinders on. I'm still learning and observing and absorbing things that I wouldn't normally have access to. And then let's say an opportunity comes up for you in the next few months, you're ready to go, or you have this group to come back to for it. Yeah. So it's exciting to see what you're doing.
Thank you. It's exciting to be in there. I'm very, very, very happy to have it. And I'm the kind of person, I'm very bad at committing to groups and accountability. And I only have one other long time enduring group that meets once a month. I'm just very bad at that. So it was a big deal for me to say, okay, I'm going to show up every week. And
I think you're good at it actually, because you do show up almost every week.
Yeah, you're great.
So let's change that language, right?
That's right. Don't put that out into the world that I'm bad at accountability.
Yeah.
What makes a difference when you're paying a nice price for something, right? You're
right.
Oh yeah,
but you're also getting tons out of it.
Mm-hmm. But that's like why, and our mastermind in terms of investment, I mean, listen, Mina and I, if we want to be in masterminds, like certain ones of our level, it's like $40,000 each.
Each. It's a lot.
So, and that's the access to coaches and like community of and a lot of times it is revenue driven, right? So if we were going to be a part of digital course creators that are 7 figures and above, for example, that's the thing. I think in product-based businesses, there aren't as many masterminds. It's not as collaborative. And the cool thing about this is like, it's accessible, but yes, there's skin in the game. We tried to do a peer-based mastermind. We showed up maybe twice. Oh, Mina's like forgotten.
I don't even know what she's talking about. That's how often I showed up.
So when there's no skin in the game, you're kind of like, oh, okay. But, and having people to turn to, even for us as business partners, you can pay for coaches, you can pay for courses, you can pay for consulting, but then also like there's this level of the community that you can pay for and be surrounded by other people on the same trajectory as you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So yes, I think it's totally worth it. I'm grateful that I could afford it. And yeah.
Well, let us know like what is coming up, because I know that there's some designs and things you just dropped your Halloween launch. How did that go? And then what's on the docket really?
Yeah, Halloween and a Thanksgiving design, and also for the holidays, a design that kids could stitch.
Oh,
I mean, it could also look good in a kid's room, but it's simple enough that a young person could stitch it.
That's cool.
And I have a Christmas one coming out next week, a new Christmas one.
What's the kid one? What does it look like? I'm curious. Like, I want to see what
Can
level.
I put in my order?
Everything's scaled a little bigger. And
we, so cute.
I cut I ordered the fabric just a little bit smaller. I'm not putting in the free little needle minder. So I got the price down to $28. Our kits are usually $34. So, we're charging less for it as this idea to get in, because you could also order a second print. There's enough floss to stitch it twice. And
that's so cool.
You could order a second print and a second, thing. But anyway, so that's sort of for it's a holiday thing, because DIY kits are such a great thing for people to do with their families. So we have that. We've got a new Christmas one coming out next week. And so then I'll really bundle that. And I've done a lot of bundles recently. Like I did a granny chic bundle, which is that idea of designs that had teapots and cuckoo clocks, because that's a trend a lot of people like right now.
Yeah, the vintage.
Yeah, I've got a fall bundle. I'll bundle up last year's Christmas with this year's Christmas and one more. So the bundles seem to be doing really well. And then, and this is a whole other conversation about having a bestseller. And I try to think about, well, really, I just have this one product, but in 22 styles, because the production, is easy to flip over to whichever one I want to do. So I don't know how big my product line should be, but I am going to, I'm going to announce a new design right at the very beginning of December. I have so many customers who buy every single thing I put out because they just like to stitch it for themselves. So I'm thinking about something just refreshing and fun and light for the new year to roll out in December, not for people to buy for Christmas, but because, with my online store, all the sales are going to go dead December 7th.
Right.
So I'm trying to think about that.
How to keep moving that sales. Yeah. And then, what's my question? I've forgotten. I was so interested in the next thing. Halloween I know that you've only been in business really since, for about a year, but were you thinking your Halloween would do as well as it's doing?
Yeah. So, and I sewed costumes with my kids for so many years. And then even when they were in high school, they'd be like, oh, it's dress up day. Come on, let's make costumes, Mom. I'd always be like, I don't want to pull this sewing machine out again. So I just have never liked Halloween, but my son kept saying, you really ought to do a Halloween design. And it's done very, very well. I don't know the exact numbers, but we've sold a couple hundred of it, and it hasn't even been out. It's just been out 30 days.
Yeah. Cause I remember when you weren't sure, right? It was like that seasonal gap of like fall, Christmas and Halloween. You just weren't sure like what you would do. So you tested a style and it's done really well. And so it's interesting for like your choices that you make for next year.
Right. I think I'll come out with a new Halloween design, and then I'll also have a Halloween bundle, won't I?
Right. Yeah. The spooky bundle.
Yeah.
It's just cool as you're like collecting this data and the choices you're going to make as you move forward. And then also the idea of like, you started and you're like, people could buy one, but now you've started bundling and you're raising your average cart value, which is how you're growing. You're so successful in terms of your revenue growth as well, like how fast it's growing.
Yeah. I love the bundles.
Yes. I mean, because if people are into it, they're into it, right? So I think that even when you think about seasonality, because a lot of the bestsellers, they change seasonally, for example, but it also could be where there's a bestseller that stays the same, like your Lighthouse would be a good example of that. That would be something that's year round, let's just say, and then when that happens, the bestseller is the year round one. And then you do the seasonal drops, know, but like in your case, I really like you are really hitting a niche of customer. I don't think that they care what you bring out. I think they'll buy whatever you give them. So
she's like, yeah, I agree.
It's all about 12 stitches. Like so many of the other designs don't have very many stitches in them. They look stunning, but they're not very fun to stitch, or they're really intricate. So these aren't the most gorgeous designs you're ever going to want to hang on your wall. It's really about the fun of stitching and using
they're also
stitches.
Well, when you say that, I mean, they're beautiful. I think it's the simplicity of it. So it's like, it's not an overwhelming project for people to take on. It looks, there's enough white space in it that you're like, okay, I could do that. And depending on your level of stitching, it could be a long-term project. Like Mina and I would be done with it in maybe 3.5 years.
Yeah. I'm going to have to hire somebody to do it for me.
She outsources her crafts. But, and then there's people who are like, oh yeah, that's just enough, right? It's just enough to manage. Because if you think about our attention spans and social media, how it went from a minute video to 15-second videos. So like, if you can hold people's attention for 7 minutes, I think your product is 7 seconds. Your product's kind of tapping into the attention span of people wanting to be crafty, but then also, like you said, it's not too hard and it's not too easy.
They're buying the experience, so it's like, you can give them, as long as it's something that they kind of like, I could see them doing like a winter, Valentine's and, what's that one thing in March? Green.
St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, and I didn't, the first year, I didn't lean into that. I didn't really understand that people cared about holidays because I didn't, but then I'm starting, Halloween has taught me that. So I do have requests from people for a patriotic kind of design.
Oh, yeah. You would do so well at that.
Yeah. And something that people could put in their sewing shed, something with a sewing machine and needles and all kinds of that.
But even like the sky's the limit really, because there's the Lighthouse, like it feels a little location based, for example.
Right.
And then you have the camping one, which is like
people love that one.
So huge too. So there's like really so many things, like you could do baby room ones, brother, sister ones, who knows, So I think that no matter what, you could build as many bundles as you really wanted to, but figure out like what are the core ones and then what are the drops that will happen.
Yeah. And then the inventory and trying to plan so that there's floss colors that run across them so that I don't have to.
You can use them in more places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't.
I think it's cool because, and this goes back to how we started this conversation with your son and talking about like there were only flower ones to do. And so the camper is something that is kind of on trend and cool and like Instagrammable, but then it's in the form of embroidery, which is really modernizing it, not being modern, but rather like of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. So the motifs, it's like a sampler, but the motifs are modern.
Yeah. You're bringing it to of the time versus like, we've all gone to the fabric stores and like the craft stores and like there's so much of it that's still sort of the past, like 80s and 90s versus where people want to be today. So you're just doing such a great job marrying the craftiness with of the time and meeting a need right when that needed to be met. So we're really excited to see your growth, to see you just like kill it this fourth quarter, because I think it's just going to be huge for you. So for all of our friends out there that would like to pick up embroidery and say like, hey, I want to try one of these because it's amazing. Like when all of you are done shipping and you've got nothing to do in December, this would be great. If you're looking for a gift for people, or you just want to follow along, would you mind sharing with everyone how they can buy from you, support you, and follow you?
At stitchedstories.com.
And then on Instagram, are you at Stitch Stories?
At stitchstories.embroidery. And you could always look for Debbie Hodge and I think it would pop up too.
Cool. And we'll put all the links in the show notes and we've got it in the chat, but make sure to go check it out. Share it. If you know anyone that would love this too, make sure to share. You're also in the small business shopping directory. Right now you're on the homepage and you're getting traffic.
Getting traffic. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to get it because that's new people.
Yeah.
And free traffic to my shop is what it's all about.
So go check out Debbie's story also on the Shop 1 in 5 directory. You can find her on the homepage right now, but otherwise you can just look up Stitch Stories. And thank you for being on today with us.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Debbie.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here and listening all the way through the Product Boss podcast. If you love our show and it has helped you in any way in your business, would you mind doing 2 things for us? Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode and leave us a review. Reviews help other product entrepreneurs know that this is the place to be to grow their businesses and realize that they're not alone. And we know that you all know that a 5-star and honest review helps you sell more products to more people. So you know that your reviews help us reach more listeners around the world. Remember, what we give is what we receive, and we are all about helping each other in the Product Boss community. We are all in this together. We would be so appreciative of you if you could take the time right now to subscribe, leave a review, and even share this episode on social or someone you know so we can impact more lives. And remember, subscribing means that you will get notified each time we release a new episode so you never miss a thing. You have helped us grow and climb into the top 10 of all marketing podcasts, and together we can keep climbing. Thank you, friends. And remember, there is room at the top for all of us. This episode is brought to you by the Shop 1 in 5 Pledge and Small Business Shopping Directory. It's a commitment to make 1 in 5 of your purchases from a small business online or offline. So head to shop1in5.com to take the pledge. And friend, while you are there, check out and shop from hundreds of small businesses in the Small Business Shopping Directory. It's the go-to directory to discover, support, and shop small businesses all in one place. Head to shop1in5.com.